Well, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mack here. Today I'm here to talk with you, to tell you all about the awesomeness of context clues. Let me get my card out. Context clues. Now think back to class and your teacher using this phrase, context clues. Context clues are kind of like a mystery. You know what happens in a mystery? Something happens and they have to collect clues until they get all the clues together to solve the mystery. Well, context clues is like that. What happens with most all of us whenever we're reading something? It doesn't matter if you're the best reader in the world, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter if you're a child, a teenager, an adult. You're going to read something and you're going to come across a word. You have no idea what this word is. You're going to look at it. You don't know. You've never heard of it before. And sometimes you're going to come across a word and you're going to try to sound it out. You're not even sure if you're pronouncing it correctly. It happens to the best of us. But what we do is we use what we already know, and we're going to look around in the sentence it's in or in sentences that come after. We're going to look around in the paragraph it's in as we're reading to try to use those clues. Those clues will help us figure out what that word is. And that's what context clues are. It's very simple. Some kids and adults too, you'll come across a word in a story, in a book, and they'll stop. They'll get obsessed on that word. And sometimes they'll actually truly just stop. And, it'll make them crazy until they can figure out what this word is. Sometimes they'll just stop altogether. They'll give up, or, especially if there are other words as they're reading that they come across and they're not sure of what the words mean. They're going to get, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to read and have a bunch of words you don't know what they mean. Using context clues can help anyone out of that situation. Context clues are awesome. Now, the definition, I wrote it here. I told you what it is, but this is an awesome definition. Hints, clues, hints that the author gives to help define a difficult or unusual word within a story or a book. Authors will rely on our intelligence. Good authors know that their readers are intelligent people. So a good author shows us a story, by showing us situations and giving us clues so that we can figure things like these words out. I want to show you what I mean. I've got a story here, and this story it's a short story, and it has a nonsense word in it. And as soon as I read the story, as soon as I read the second word, you're going to know right away it's a word that just simply doesn't exist. Well, it exists now because it's here. But, I invented it. So I'm going to read it aloud. You're going to read it on here. I'm going to try to hold it here so that you can read it. And we're going to use clues in this to try to figure out what this nonsense word is. And when I finish, my question to you is going to be, I'm just going to tell you the word, Fickelsplat. That's the word, the nonsense word. So my question at the end of this is going to be, what is a Fickelsplat? We'll figure it out. Okay, here we go. So you read along with me. The Fickelsplat hid behind the wheel of the car. Can you see that okay? It watched the dog sniff around. The Fickelsplat knew the large hound had its scent. Suddenly, the dog turned away, and just then the Fickelsplat scurried from its hiding place, ran across the road, then under a bush and down into its hole in the ground. It was finally safe. So, what's a Fickelsplat? Do you think it's a bike? Could a Fickelsplat be a bike? Of course not. You think it's a horse? Might be a horse. How do you know it can't be a horse? I know. Doesn't it mention that the fickle splat is hiding behind the wheel of a car? Well, I don't know. I've never seen a car that big where a horse could hide behind the wheel. So evidently, whatever a fickle splat is, it's small enough to hide behind the wheel of a car. And if it's hiding there and it's watching the dog, seems to me like there's clues there. If it's hiding, that's a clue that it's frightened. Maybe the dog is like a predator. Dog could eat it. Who thinks a fickle splat is some type of animal? Absolutely, of course it is. It's small enough to fit behind the wheel of a car. We've got that clue. It scurried across the road, under a bush, into its hole, and it was safe. So, animals live in holes in the ground. It could be, I could have 10 people here and ask them, what do you think a fickle splat is? I definitely am positive nobody's going to say a horse or a bike, but somebody might say a rabbit. Somebody might say a squirrel. Somebody might say a rat. Somebody might say a hedgehog. Could be any of those things. These clues point to all that. So that's what context clues is. We used our intelligence to figure this out. Let me show you this. I'm going to hide this. I'm going to use one card, my context clue card, to hide I have two sentences written on this card. I want to hide the first one. So here's the sentence. Now, you older brothers, whether you have younger brothers or sisters, you've done this. I can say that because I'm an older brother, and my sweet poor sister, I did it to her too. The sentence is, he tried to perturb his sister by putting his foot closer and closer to her side of the car. Now, as a reader, as you read, try to visualize as you're reading. When I read a book, when I read anything, I can see it like a movie playing in my head. So I can see this happening, where brother's on one side, sister's on the other, and he keeps inching his foot closer and closer to her. He's trying to perturb her. So what does it mean, perturb? Do you think this is making her happy? Do you think he's trying to make her happy by doing this? No. We can use our prior knowledge and think about when people try to irritate us or we've tried to irritate people. Perturb doesn't mean happy. Perturb means he's trying to irritate her. He's trying to make her anxious. He's trying to get her upset. That's what perturb is. Absolutely. And how about this one? Let me hide this behind. Get that covered up real good. Okay. Can you see it? Do I got it okay? All right. Do I have it there? All right. The cat had some trepidation as it slowly passed by the dog's kennel. What does that word trepidation mean? It's a big word. The cat had some trepidation as it slowly passed by the dog's kennel. Well, let's use our prior knowledge. What do we already know about cats and dogs and their relationships? Not a good one, right? If the cat was moving slowly, it's another clue. Trepidation doesn't mean the cat was excited. Doesn't mean it was in any way happy. Trepidation means the cat was worried. The cat was anxious. The cat was afraid. Absolutely. The cat was very cautious. You bet. That's all context clues. That's what they do. They help us figure stuff out. Authors give us clues, and sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, there's different types of context clues. Before I show you what these are, I'm just going to show you 4. But before I show you then, the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is a context clue is simply a clue in a sentence or many sentences that will give you information, enough information to figure out what a word, or sometimes even a phrase, means. That's all it is. So that you don't get hung up on vocabulary. You don't get hung up on words. Sometimes a lot of kids will give up on a good book because they come across a word they don't know, so they figure the whole book is filled with words they don't know. Well, to heck with that. You just have to use context clues. You can figure these things out. There are different types of context clues, and I'm going to hold this up here. We have definition. The author actually defines a word in a sentence. Example, the author will sometimes make a list kind of, give you examples of what is part of this word. An antonym means the opposite. So sometimes the author will use that. They'll give you the word. You don't know what the word is. They'll use its opposite. And sometimes they'll give you the synonym. Synonym are words that mean the same or most of the time mean something similar, you know. So these are the four kinds. Let me show you just quick examples. Here is definition. The word is defined in the sentence and surrounding sentences. And look at the example here. The police prevented the robbers' plans. So the author actually gave you a definition of thwarted there. Thwarted is prevented, stopped. So that's what thwarted is. Thwarted is one of those words that we don't say. You might hear it if you're a cop. You might hear it if you're a detective or something like that. But, you know, so when you come across that in a text, it's hard unless you use context clues. And in this case, the author gives us a definition. Thwarted means stopped or prevented. When an author uses examples, it says specific examples give clues to the meanings or meaning of an unknown word or phrase. And here's the sentence. The decor, including the fancy lights and the beautiful furniture, made the house look awesome. So the word decor is the one, I know this is a little sloppy. The word decor is the one word we're trying to define here. Well, let's look at the clues. The decor, including the fancy lights and beautiful furniture, made the house look awesome. So decor, this has to do with furniture, it has to do with lights and other things. Look around your house, look at the decor. In your living room, you may have beautiful furniture, you may have fancy lights, you may have paintings and pictures on the wall. That is what decor is. Decor, decoration, decor. An antonym means the opposite of, up, down, hot, cold. A word or group of words with the opposite meaning is used in a sentence. And the example is the vast mall could not even compare to the tiny shop. So if you're not sure what the word vast is, that's also another word that not a lot of people use. Authors use it. But so if it's using opposites here, vast is the word we're trying to figure out. And the opposite of vast is tiny. Did I point to it? I didn't, did I? The opposite of the word is tiny. Then vast means big. Now, big is boring. Vast is awesome. Vast is one of those awesome words. Vast means huge, gigantic, gargantuan, big, 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 big. Big just means big, you know. Spider to a fly is big. Spider to us isn't big. Vast, huge. And finally, synonym. A synonym is when a word with the same or similar meanings is used in a sentence. And the example is, the heat from the intense rays of the sun was scorching. Well, scorching is the word, we don't use that a lot either. You know, I mean, in books, but just in general speaking. So what does the word scorching mean? The author used heat as a synonym. Scorching, heat. The sun's rays are hot. That's what it's saying. So that's it. Context clues are just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. You simply got to go, as you're reading, you come across any word you don't know. Look around, keep going. Don't let it stop you. Look for clues, figure it out. And sometimes, like I said, don't ever let a vocabulary word or a word hold you up or stop you from reading. Just keep going. If you don't know what the word is, so what? Just keep going. Sometimes it's not going to make any difference if you don't know what that word means. Just keep going anyway. But context clues are an awesome, intelligent, and sometimes fun way, especially if you love mysteries, to figure out what a word means. That's it. Take care. I'll see you again. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great afternoon or whatever. Bye-bye.